Hello students, today we will study class 12 English Literature Flamingo chapter 2 Lost Spring. So it is written by Anish Jung. She is a very famous Indian women author, journalist and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad. She was born in Rourkela, Odisha in 1944. Remember, in NCERT book it is written 64, but actually she was born in 1944. She hails from an aristocratic family in Hyderabad, very rich, affluent and famous family in Hyderabad. Her father Nawab Hoshiar Jung was a renowned scholar and poet and served as the advisor to the last Nizam of Hyderabad state. Her mother and brothers are also Urdu poets. So she has authored many books, but she came into limelight with the publication of Unveiling India in 1987, which is a travel diary focusing interviews with women, especially Muslim women behind the parda. It is a very poignant and revealing look at the women of India. So her other noted creations are Night of the Moon, written in 1993, Seven Sisters in 1994, Breaking the Silence in 1997, and Beyond the Courtyard in 2003. So Anish Jung's Lost Spring is an excerpt from her book The Stories of a Stolen Childhood, written in 2005. The book is the reflection of harsh realities of Indian society. It shows us that how we are directly or indirectly responsible for depriving a child of its childhood innocence, joy of childhood. It analyzes the grinding poverty, extreme poverty, squalid conditions, pathetic conditions of the life of street children and traditions also which condemn them to a life of exploitation and misery and lost dreams. So this is the story of two street children. The two main protagonists of the chapter, Saheb he is a ragpicker, and Mukesh, a bangle maker. They don't live their childhood as they have to carry the burden of poverty and illiteracy. The narrative very clearly describes the reality of our society. In their depressed stories of exploitation, the author provides glimpses of determination, fortitude, and resilience in some of the children so that they can break this vicious circle of exploitation, or they can break the shackles of poverty from their life. So just let's know more about the lesson. Here in this story, the author's loiterings, like lingering aimlessly or moving in and about a place without any apparent purpose. So these loiterings or ramblings of the author took her to slum dwellers of Simapuri, where she met this teenage ragpicker, Saheb Alam, barefoot, but the stars twinkle in his eyes. Time snatched the shines of these stars and took his feather-light plastic bag and stuck him with a heavy steel canister and dawn to dusk duty in a corner tea stall. At Firozabad again, she ran into the street urchin, Mukesh, who dreamt of becoming a motor mechanic. The present lesson is a Jugalbandi, a two-in-one story of throttled, suppressed dreams and crushed ambitions. So let's see the main points of the lesson. The first part is, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. So here the first protagonist is Saheb or Saheb Alam. That means Lord of the universe. But here, see the irony here. He is poor. He is barefoot. He lives in Simapuri at the outskirts of Delhi in transit home. He does not have a proper permanent home also. He scrounges and looks for gold or something in the garbage dumps of his neighborhood to sustain his livelihood, to sustain his living. He had left his home long ago. His family has migrated from flood and storm devastated Dhaka in Bangladesh during partition in 1971. He roams around the streets collecting garbage on the streets with other boys of his age. By noon, the business is over. An author ran into him and made her acquaintance with him in the course of time. The first part of Saheb's life is as a ragpicker. So he looks for gold, money or other things in the garbage to sustain living. But he's fond of good things also. He loves watching tennis. One day, during her encounter with Saheb, the author asks Saheb why he does that. Why he does pick up the rags, waste material from the street. Why he doesn't go to school like other children of his age. He mutters that he has nothing else to do. There is no school in his neighborhood. He is poor and works barefooted. The author also realizes the fruitless or the futile suggestion of hers. Yet, Saheb promises to attend his school when she would start one. Because jokingly, the author promises that and asks whether you would come when I would start a school. So, and few days later, he came also running to her asking whether the school is ready. The author felt ashamed, embarrassed that she had made a promise that was meant to be broken. Saheb roams around the street with a bunch of other ragpickers of his age. One day, she asked why barefoot? Why do you not wear chappals? Why do you not wear slippers? So they gave different answers. Some says it's a tradition not to wear chappals. Some says that they didn't like to wear also. Some gave the excuse that their mother didn't give them from the shelf. But the real answer remains uncertain. These excuses are only a way to explain away the constant state of poverty, perpetual state of poverty. Poverty that does not appear to end any time. And there are not only, this is not the story of only one or two children. So there are 10,000 other shoeless ragpickers like Saheb in Simapuri, an outer edge of Delhi. They live in extreme, squalid, miserable condition. Their dwellings are shabby, dingy, dirty, dismal. They are actually structures of mud with roof of tin and tarpaulin. Tarpaulin is a sheet cover that is used to prevent rain. So they live in makeshift dwellings which are devoid of sewage, drainage or running water. Makeshift dwellings meaning they do not have much room or space so that every members of the family can be there or sleep there at one time. So one day one person will sleep, a few members will sleep, the other day few other members will sleep. So that kind of arrangement is called makeshift dwellings. They are squatters. They are actually the refugees who settle without any legal rights. They are the refugees of Bangladesh who came from Bangladesh back in 1971, and in 30 years of their existence in Simapuri, all they have got a ration card. These ration cards ensure food to them and votes remember, to their political patrons. Because leaders are only concerned for their votes. They are not concerned how they are living their life. In human conditions, they are living life. Some people, like village priests, make remarkable progress. So in tidbits of the story, the author also recollects some in all those people who are living in inhuman conditions, some few, a very rare people made a remarkable progress in their standard of living in post-independence period. Some remain hopelessly helpless and poor like these rag pickers. Because that village priest, why the author is saying that village priest made remarkable progress. This the only proof is that they have got the shoes. They are not shoeless. But the majority remains hopelessly helpless and poor. So survival at Simapuri means rag picking. Garbage to them is gold. And this is very important point. Garbage to them is gold. Sometimes Saheb find a rupee or even a 10 rupee note in the garbage. Then there is a hope of finding more. Whatever they get in the garbage, they sell it and earn some money. It provides their daily bread, a roof above their heads. So scrounging the garbage gets them very little, a stray currency note at times, yet they stick to it. Garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. Garbage means survival for the grown-ups, while for children it is wrapped in wonders because they can get anything that might surprise them. And Saheb, the other characteristic of Saheb is that he is fond of good life. He likes to watch tennis. He does not even imagine that he does not even dare to like that he want to play tennis. So he was content that he just likes to watch tennis. So one winter morning, the author finds Saheb wearing discarded tennis shoes from some rich boy. The shoes look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. He was very excited about those pair of shoes. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. So that was the first part of life, Saheb's life. Then the time passes by and Saheb's circumstances is changed. His carefree life ended the very day he accepted a 800 per month job at a corner tea shop. Now he works in a tea stall and earns 800 per month and all his meals too. But whether he looks happy? No. He looks sad. He lost his carefree look and he is no longer his own master. When he was a rag picker, he was his own master. The plastic bag that he used to carry was his own. But the tea canister belongs to the tea shop owner. He doesn't even seem happy working at the tea stall. Shines of twinkling stars in her eyes were lost. When he is a rag picker, he enjoyed his freedom, but now he works under the command of tea stall owner. And then the second character is Mukesh. Mukesh is a glass bangle maker of Firozabad. He is different. He dares to have dream. His ambition is to drive a car and become a motor mechanic. He works in a factory in a glass furnace with high temperature and no air and light. Most of the families in Firozabad are engaged in the business of making glass bangles. About 20,000 children work in blast furnaces. Many children and their families are oblivious of the fact. They don't know. They are ignorant of the fact that it is illegal for them to work in the hazardous glass blowing industry. But they are oblivious. They are ignorant. They don't know this fact. Or even they know, they can't help it. They can't do anything about it. The living standards are primeval, with humans and animals coexisting in half-built shacks. Shacks are shabbily built huts. So, living conditions of bangle makers in Firozabad are also dismal and bleak, dark without any hope. They live in dilapidated. That dilapidated means that are in a state of ruin, ramshackle, broken down, run down houses with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, and no windows. Wobbly means unsteady or shaky. So, usually, the entire family live in one room where they sleep and work. So, one day, Mukesh took Anish Jung to his house where he lives with his old grandmother, father, and elder brother, and his wife Savita. This young woman is the caretaker of the three men of the family. The house was in pathetic conditions. They needing repair, reconstructions. But family could not afford renovation of house or education of children. They only have enough to eat. Young men of Firozabad have only one education. They inherited the art of bangle making. They know nothing else. They can't even dare to do something out of this tradition. A stigma of caste here has molded their mentality. They can't imagine, they can't think out of the box. They think that bangle making is their destiny, not to be changed. This is the destiny, they cannot change it. Even if they want, they cannot change it. They are trapped in the vicious circle of middlemen, money lenders, policemen, keepers of law, and politicians. They are unwilling to get organized and cooperative for fear of the police. They are very worn out, exhausted, fed up of poverty, greed, and injustice that is prevalent in this particular part of our society. So, but here there is a glimpse of resilience in Mukesh. Mukesh is an exception. He desires to be a motor mechanic, not the bangle makers, because he dares to dream. He also realizes that dreaming of airplanes would be overreaching himself, because actually he could not dream about planes because he never saw much planes fly over Firozabad. So that is why he is not dreaming about planes, but he dreams too, because he sees running car and he desires to be a motor mechanic. So this is the story. Just let's know the theme of the story. As we have already explained much of the story, so theme, as you know, is the thread that binds this entire story, Lost Spring, runs through the miserable plight of street children that are forced into labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling or education. Another theme that runs parallel to the major theme is the apathetic attitude of the society, unconcern of the society, and the political figures also to these people's misery. They are not concerned, they are not bothered about their misery. So this story tries to sensitize the readers about the plight of the poorest of the poor and emphasizes on the urgent need to end the vicious circle of exploitation through education, awareness, cooperative organizations, and empowerment. So here there is a very important excerpt from this story that gives the entire glimpse of the plight of these children. One of the family caught in the web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other, a vicious circle of the sahukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. Together, both are irresponsible. Together, they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Before he is aware, he accepts is as naturally as his father. So every child here is destined to follow suit what his father has done. So together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. So now let's see the justification of the title. How can you justify whether this title is justified or not? So the title is well justified and suitable, as we all know that spring is the season associated with buoyancy, lightness, or resilience of the spirit, exuberance, optimism. So it also works as a metaphor for the childhood stage of our life, where we are without any worries or any tensions of any kind. So right from the time we are born until late childhood, every child hopes for new beginnings and bright future. The phases of childhood is all about liveliness and incredible penchant. That is, penchant means natural inclination, natural tendency towards outdoor activities along with fun and play. And playtime does not have any limits. It is also a time of getting more skill and knowledge and going to school. Here we take a look at a particularly impressive rendition, interpretations, visual representation of harsh reality of a society by this story. The story deals with the appalling conditions of poor children who get forced to miss the simple, joyful moments of childhood because of their socio-economic conditions, because of their poverty. These children are not given the opportunity of a schooling and are compelled to start working early in life. So, lost spring refers to those moments of childhood which are full of happiness, growth, and carefree spirit, and which have been snatched from the children of Simapuri and Firozabad. So the title justifies the story, which makes an effort to sensitize the people towards these poor children. It emphasizes the need to save the childhood of these poor children and provide them with their basic rights of a decent life and good education. Childhood is considered the spring of human life. It is full of exuberance and playfulness. But the children of ragpickers, of Simapuri and bangle makers of Firozabad are deprived of this period of their life. They never enjoy the carefreeness of their childhood. They have to assist their poor parents in earning their living since the very tender age. In fact, the story brings out the reality of our society where poor children work as rag pickers and bangle makers in inhuman and hazardous conditions. The plight of these children highlights the apathy of the rich and powerful people of the society who have no concern for them. So this is the clear visualization of the society. And that is why the author sensitizes the society also towards those children. So this message, let's see what is the message of this chapter. So here the author Anisha strives hard to eliminate child labor through her book. She proposes to promote the education of children and enforcement of strict laws against child labor by the government. The message is to put an end to child exploitation and let all children enjoy their days of the spring and joy. This book is a vivid description of the grinding poverty and tradition that condemn the children in our country to a life of poverty and exploitation. Saheb, a small boy who is a ragpicker and relies on garbage for his living, seems to be very enthusiastic about going to school, but he never gets this opportunity, and his entire childhood is lost in solving the greatest problem of his life, that is, to earn a meal. He has to compromise with his freedom and joy of childhood and works at a tea stall to earn money. Mukesh, on the other hand, who was born into a bangle maker's family of Firozabad, wants to be a motor mechanic. He works in the most hazardous conditions in the glass furnace with high temperature and no lights. People of his community are caught in the vicious circle of sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats, politicians. But Mukesh wants to be his own master and do something different. So, this is I think you have understood the entire chapter. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me in my comment box.